Some RPGs don't just challenge your reflexes. They test your patience, strategy, and willpower. These 10 games will humble you, teach you, and ultimately reward you in ways only the most demanding adventures can. They're tough, but every victory feels unforgettable. Long before Persona became Atlus's flagship, Shin Megami Tensei III, Nocturne set the gold standard for punishing JRPGs. The game begins with Tokyo folding in on itself to create the Vortex world, a surreal, demon-infested sphere where only the cunning survive. From a moment you awaken as the half-demonic demi-fiend, the rules are simple. Every fight can kill you, and no encounter is truly safe. Even the earliest random battles can ambush you with a critical hit that wipes your party before you have time to react. This game's press-turn system is a masterclass in high-risk strategy. Exploit an enemy's elemental weakness, and you gain an extra action. Miscalculate, and you lose turns while your foes pounce. Victory hinges on meticulous planning. Buffs and debuffs are essential, and one careless move can spiral into a full party wipe. Grinding alone won't save you. Team composition and smart play are everything. Recruiting demons is both the heart of the game and a gamble in itself. Negotiations can fail, demons may demand bribes, or they might simply abandon you mid-fight, leaving you scrambling for survival. The atmosphere deepens the pressure. Minimal dialogue and an ominous, ambient soundtrack create a sense of eerie isolation, as if the world itself is daring you to give up. Each of the game's multiple reasons or philosophical paths, law, chaos, or solitary route, forces you to wrestle with cosmic choices about creation and destruction. Side bosses like the Matador or optional fiend encounters are infamous for brutal difficulty spikes that demand perfect execution of buffs, counters, and elemental tactics. Nocturne refuses to hold your hand, yet that's exactly why it endures. Conquering its labyrinthine dungeons and merciless bosses delivers a feeling of triumph that few RPGs can match. It remains one of the most rewarding and uncompromising JRPG experiences ever released.
That's all.
The Etrian Odyssey is a relentless test of old-school dungeon crawling skill. Debuting on the Nintendo DS in 2007, it revived the classic first-person grid crawler, but added its own merciless twist. You draw your own map as you explore. Every corridor, hidden passage, and deadly shortcut must be charted by hand on the DS touchscreen, making cartography as crucial as combat. The challenge begins with building a guild from scratch. You recruit adventurers from a wide pool of classes: Landsknecht, Protector, Alchemist, and more, each with unique skills that define your strategy. A balanced party isn't optional, it's survival. Venturing deep into the sprawling Yggdrasil labyrinth, you'll quickly meet FOEs, fearsome, superpowered monsters that stalk the map in real time. Spot one of these glowing terrors early on, and you have a choice. Plot a clever detour, or risk an encounter that can annihilate an unprepared team in seconds. Resource management is brutal. Healing items, spell points, and even simple inventory space must be tracked carefully, because retreating to town to resupply means resetting wandering enemies and losing hours of progress. Turn-based battles are deceptively deep. Binds to disable enemy limbs, status effects, and layered buffs all become critical as you descend. The sense of tension never fades. Even random encounters can unravel a careless strategy. Despite the punishment, this game is gorgeous and strangely soothing. The vibrant, hand-drawn monster art and Yuzo Koshiro's serene yet adventurous soundtrack create a rhythm that keeps you hooked. Mapping each floor square by square becomes addictively satisfying, and the euphoria of finally besting a floor boss after dozens of attempts is unmatched. It's a series that proves difficulty can coexist with elegance, rewarding patient planners and cartography enthusiasts with some of the purest dungeon crawling triumphs in modern RPG history. Pathologic 2 isn't difficult in the big HP bar sense. It's difficult because it feels like surviving inside a fever dream that's actively trying to break you. Set in a mysterious plague-ridden steppe town, the game drops you into the role of a healer with just 12 in-game days to save as many lives as possible, or fail spectacularly. Time never stops, even while you rest or barter. So every minute spent scavenging for food or hunting for medicine means someone else is getting sicker, and critical story events may pass you by forever. Survival systems pile on the pressure. Hunger, exhaustion, thirst, and infection meters all tick down relentlessly, forcing constant triage. You might have to choose between eating a rotten fish to stave off starvation or conserving precious money for antibiotics you desperately need. Combat, when unavoidable, is clumsy and brutal by design. A knife fight leaves you bleeding and limping, often worse off than if you'd simply run. The plague spread is merciless, wiping out NPCs with names and personalities you've come to know, their deaths reshaping quests and closing off narrative paths permanently. What elevates the challenge is its psychological weight. Conversations unfold like tense theater, every character a cryptic puzzle of motives and half-truths. The town itself feels alive yet alien. Architecture twists into impossible shapes, and ominous masked figures watch silently from rooftops. The oppressive sound design and eerie, dreamlike visuals make you question what's real while your health bars dwindle. There is no perfect ending. The best you can hope for is to limit the tragedy. This is a game about sacrifice and inevitability. Each choice feels like an admission of defeat, but enduring that relentless clock and finding fleeting victories delivers a unique catharsis. Few RPGs capture the desperation of fighting a losing battle as hauntingly as Pathologic 2, making survival itself the most heroic act.
So what should we do next?
We shall proceed as planned.
Before open-world RPG became a marketing buzzword, Gothic 2, Night of the Raven was quietly setting a brutal standard for what an unforgiving sandbox could feel like. This 2003 expansion and overhaul of Gothic 2 takes the already tough original and raises every stake. From the opening moments, the world dares you to survive without hand-holding. Wolves can tear you apart in seconds. A single poorly timed sword swing can end an early run, and even basic training costs precious gold you can barely scrape together. Progress is a slow, deliberate climb. Early on, you're no hero, you're prey. Every victory against a pack of scavengers feels like a triumph because you fought for it, counting every hit point and timing every parry. Weapons and spells must be earned through exploration and political maneuvering, and joining one of the game's factions, be it mercenaries, fire mages, or city guards, shapes not only your skills, but your place in the harsh social hierarchy. NPCs remember your actions, gossip spreads, and alliances shift in subtle ways, giving the world a sense of genuine consequence. This expands the island of Korinis with the treacherous Jarkender region, a dense jungle filled with lethal bandits and ancient magic. The new balance adjustments make enemies hit harder and rare loot scarcer, turning every excursion into a test of planning and nerve. Yet it's never unfair. Patient players who learn enemy patterns, master stamina management, and leverage every quest reward gradually transform from desperate outcast to feared warrior. Its clunky controls and dated graphics can intimidate newcomers, but those willing to adapt discover a living, breathing world where survival feels hard-won and personal. The satisfaction of finally toppling a creature that once one-shot you is unmatched. Night of the Raven remains a benchmark for challenging, choice-driven RPG design, proof that true immersion is forged in struggle, not convenience.
So he won't loot them if you talk to him immediately.
If you ask veteran RPG players to name the hardest dungeon crawler ever made, many will point straight to Wizardry IV, The Return of Werdna. Released in 1987 as the fourth entry in the pioneering Wizardry series, it flips the usual heroic premise on its head. You play as the villain of the first game, trying to claw your way out of a magically sealed underground prison. From a first step, the game makes it clear it has no intention of letting you coast. There are no starter parties to guide you. Instead, you must summon demons and undead to form a crew of disposable minions, all while conserving precious spell slots and limited resources. Every floor of the labyrinth is an elaborate trap, filled with high-level adventurers who hunt you relentlessly. These enemies, heroes from previous games, are overpowered and travel in parties designed to exploit your weaknesses. Random encounters are rare, but scripted ambushes are brutal, demanding perfect knowledge of spells, enemy types, and the environment just to survive a single skirmish. Navigation is its own nightmare. The maze is deliberately disorienting, packed with rotating tiles, teleporters, darkness zones, and instant death squares. Mapping by hand is essential, and even then the designers gleefully break mapping conventions with illogical loops and hidden switches. Experience points are scarce, and simple mistakes like forgetting a key spell or stepping into the wrong square can force a total restart. Even the game's ending requires deciphering cryptic clues and mastering obscure mechanics. Yet for those who relish punishment, this is legendary. Beating it isn't just finishing a game. It's surviving a gauntlet that demands absolute mastery of classic RPG systems and an iron will to persevere. Modern players often rely on guides, but even with help, conquering the prison remains a badge of honor that few can claim. It's an artifact from an era when games weren't merely challenging, they were designed to break you. Team Ninja's Nioh blends the deliberate, punishing combat of Souls-like with the lewd obsession of classic action RPGs, creating a hybrid that's as demanding as it is rewarding. Set during a fantastical version of Japan's Sengoku period, it follows the Western samurai William as he battles both human warlords and demonic yokai. From the first duel, it's clear that this is not a game you can button mash through. Every stance change, dodge, and stamina matters. Enemies strike with terrifying speed and power. A single mistake, an ill-timed dodge, or a block combo can empty your health bar in seconds. Boss fights are even more punishing. Each is a unique test of reflexes and adaptability, from the ferocious vampire bat like Hinoenma to the multi-phase dragon battles that demand absolute focus. Learning enemy tells, exploiting elemental weaknesses, and mastering the rhythmic key pulse to recover stamina mid-fight are essential for survival. But difficulty here isn't just about combat. It piles on layers of RPG complexity. Hundreds of weapons and armor pieces drop with randomized stats, encouraging endless tinkering with builds and elemental effects. Skills can be customized for each of the 3 combat stances: high for heavy damage, mid for balance, low for speed, turning every encounter into a dance of experimentation and precision. The deeper you go, the more you realize that efficiency and planning are as critical as fast reflexes. Despite its brutality, Nioh rewards persistence with incredible satisfaction. Each victory feels earned through discipline and strategic thinking. The atmosphere, drenched in mythological Japanese folklore, and the driving, percussive soundtrack elevate every fight into an epic struggle. For players craving a challenge that marries razor-sharp action with deep RPG progression, this stands as one of the most exhilarating and exhausting tests of skill in modern gaming. Divinity. Original Sin 2 is already considered one of the best modern CRPGs, but its optional tactician mode transforms an already challenging adventure into a true gauntlet. From the first battle on the prison ship, the difficulty spikes sharply. Enemies gain smarter AI, improved gear, and devastating abilities that punish sloppy tactics. Suddenly, the sandbox systems that make the game great, environmental effects, character synergy, and turn-based combat become not just fun tools, but necessary lifelines. Every encounter demands thoughtful preparation. Positioning is everything. Archers on high ground can shred your party if left unchecked, while a single miscast fireball can ignite an oil slick and incinerate friend and foe alike. Enemies chain elemental combos, flank your squishiest allies, and exploit every opening. Crowd control spells like Charm or Petrify can turn a hopeless fight around, but require careful timing and resource management. Armor systems, separate physical and magical defenses, force you to plan around breaking the right protection before a status effect can land. The challenge extends beyond combat. Inventory management, skill synergy, and party composition all become high-stakes considerations. Should you bring a dedicated healer or double down on damage dealers? Do you risk burning precious resurrection scrolls or retreat to regroup and forfeit progress? The game rarely forgives mistakes, and saving mid-battle won't save you from a poorly planned strategy. What makes Tactician Mode brilliant is how it amplifies the game's best qualities. It rewards experimentation. Electrify a blood-soaked battlefield, teleport enemies into poison clouds, or summon surfaces to manipulate elemental reactions. Each victory feels like a triumph of intellect as much as reflex. When the final boss finally falls, you know you've truly mastered one of the deepest, most reactive combat systems in RPG history. FromSoft has a reputation for punishing games, but Sekiro pushes even veteran Souls players to their limits. Unlike Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where you can grind levels or summon allies, this one demands pure skill. There's no armor to hide behind, no RPG stat min-maxing to soften the blows. You live or die by your ability to master its razor-sharp swordplay, meaning you have to learn to parry. Set in a fantastical Sengoku-era Japan, you play as Wolf, a shinobi on a mission of vengeance and redemption. Every duel is a tense dance of parries, perfectly timed deflections, and lightning-fast counterattacks. The posture system forces you to stay aggressive. Turtle up, and you'll be shredded. Bosses like Genichiro or the infamous Guardian Ape punish hesitation with brutal precision. Each encounter becomes a personal trial, and victory arrives only after you've truly learned an enemy's rhythm. The game's minimal RPG elements, like the skills to unlock and prosthetic tools to upgrade, offer variety but never shortcuts. Exploration brings breathtaking vertical environments and hidden lore, but there's little room to coast. You can stealth through rooftops or clash head-on, yet every success feels earned. The haunting score and stark visual design intensify the pressure, making each fight feel like a climactic duel from a classic samurai film. It's not just difficult for difficulty's sake. Sekiro teaches persistence and patience, rewarding mastery with some of the most exhilarating combat in gaming. Defeating a boss after hours of failure isn't merely a win. It's a triumph of focus and adaptation. Many players call it FromSoft's hardest game, and for those willing to suffer and grow, perhaps its most satisfying. Underrail wears its isometric, old-school roots proudly, but beneath the retro visuals lies a ruthless RPG that punishes every careless step. Often described as the spiritual successor to the classic Fallout titles, it drops you into the subterranean metro tunnels of a collapsed civilization and promptly lets the darkness close in. There is no gentle onboarding, just a deep character creation system and the freedom to specialize in stealth, psionics, crafting, or brutal gunplay. Build unwisely, and you'll discover too late that you've designed a character doomed to struggle. Combat is entirely turn-based, but deceptively complex. Action points must be rationed carefully, and every encounter is a puzzle of positioning, cooldown management, and clever use of tools like grenades, traps, and energy shields. Ammunition is scarce, medical supplies scarcer, and healing mid-battle is rarely an option. Any ambush by mutant rathounds or heavily armed bandits can wipe out an unprepared explorer. The game's infamous Depot A section is practically a rite of passage, testing both your tactical thinking and your patience with waves of relentless enemies and punishing environmental hazards. Exploration adds its own brand of danger. The labyrinthine tunnels and derelict stations are packed with secrets, from hidden caches to morally ambiguous factions vying for control of the underworld. Choices have long-tail consequences. Align with one group, and you may make an enemy of another, shaping the story and cutting off resources. Even simple activities like trading or crafting require careful planning. Yet the harshness is exactly what makes Underrail unforgettable. Every victory, whether winning a desperate firefight, crafting the perfect energy weapon, or surviving a poisoned cavern, feels entirely earned. It's a game for players who crave deep tactical combat, intricate character builds, and the tension of knowing that every bullet and bandage counts. Before the newer titles, Dark Souls, more than Demon Souls, redefined challenging RPGs and inspired an entire subgenre. Its difficulty isn't about unfair enemies, but about demanding respect for every move. The interconnected world of Lordran is a labyrinth of danger where even the weakest hollow can end you if you're careless. Bonfires act as both checkpoints and lifelines, but they also respawn foes, forcing you to weigh every step and risk. Combat is deliberate and punishing. Stamina management matters as much as weapon choice, and every dodge, parry, and swing carries weight. More than any other Souls game, the first one encourages you to be patient and punishes you if you're not. Bosses like Ornstein and Smaug, or the Four Kings, become endurance tests of pattern recognition and nerves. Death is inevitable, but it's also the teacher. Every mistake is a lesson, every setback a nudge toward mastery. Even the act of retrieving your lost souls after death becomes a gamble that can end in crushing defeat. The game's cryptic storytelling adds to the challenge. Lore is hidden in item descriptions and environmental details, demanding curiosity and imagination. Co-op and invasions bring unpredictable human elements. A helping hand 1 minute, a deadly invader the next. The oppressive atmosphere, from the ash-choked ruins of Anor Londo to the poisonous depths of Blighttown, creates a constant sense of dread and triumph when you finally conquer it. Some call it unforgiving, but its fairness keeps players coming back. Defeating a boss after dozens of tries delivers a rush few games can match. Dark Souls doesn't just ask you to play. It asks you to endure, adapt, and emerge stronger, qualities that still define the Souls-like genre and creation.